Hi, Ziao here, a third year medical student from the National University of Malaysia, UKM, and welcome to the video on my elective posting to Umeå, Sweden. Earlier this year, I was honored to receive an offer from the International Federation of Medical Students Associations, or IFMSA, to be an exchange medical student at the Norrlands Universitet Sjukhus, or the University Hospital of Umeå. It was unbelievable for me to be able to broaden my medical perspective not just outside of my country, but all the way to Europe. I fulfilled a few objectives during the elective. Firstly, I managed to experience the healthcare system in Umeå by heavily participating in the daily work in the hospital. For example, observing consultations, performing physical examinations, attaching Swedish doctors in the morning rounds, and assisting in surgeries. I also gained knowledge on the healthcare system by discussing it with my supervisors. For instance, I learned that the Swedish people are heavily taxed in return for their affordable healthcare system, and most of their hospitals are public, which is 85 out of 100 hospitals. Besides, being in Umeå means I got to experience their culture and language too. I had fikas like Swedish and pick up some of their basic greetings and words, such as God morgon, hej då, precis, absolut, exakt, and the list goes on. All this could not be achieved without buying the flight tickets and landing myself in the foreign hospital. After receiving the offer, I prepared the forms and documents required on the IFMSA exchange portal, purchased flight, train and bus tickets, and ensured I had all the necessary items ready. My attachment at the University Hospital of Umeå started on 29 July. Every day, I would change to the scrubs provided by the hospital and be present in the orthopedics conference room at 7:45 for the morning round. After the morning round, I spent my day in the outpatient clinic or the ward. A challenge I faced during the consultations was that almost all of the patients preferred to speak Swedish, although most of them could also speak English fluently. However, I had the opportunity to perform physical examinations on some patients, for instance, an examination assessing motor and sensory functions due to spinal injury, according to the American Spinal Injury Association, or ASIA, impairment scale. My day usually ended around 3 to 4 p.m. Some of the days I got to scrub in for operations. Some of the operations I got to observe include a posterior lumbar fixation and decompression surgery, an open reduction internal rotation of the metatarsal fracture and calcaneus fracture, a true cut biopsy of a lump in the forearm, a knee arthroscopy, a knee revision surgery, and a shoulder reverse arthroplasty. During the operations, I had the opportunity to observe it right beside the chief surgeon and assist at the end by suturing or stapling the wounds. I was grateful for the opportunity as I got to observe the operation clearly and closely, as well as gain some hands-on experience useful for my practice in the future. I remember an operation that I was excited about. It was a cryotherapy treatment for osteosarcoma on an 11-year-old boy. They considered the possibility of performing cryotherapy in situ, a method considered new during the discussion of the surgical plan, which is by preparing a 3D model of a container that fits into the patient's femur and liquid nitrogen is directly poured into the container to have the cryotherapy without the need of removing the distal femur out of the patient's body. I was fresh to these ideas and innovations, so I did find observing the operation interesting and fruitful. It did gain my interest in the surgical field when I think about all the possible advancements of surgery in the future. Certainly, it isn't just all about work and no play in Umeå. We had the National Food and Drinks Party organized by the IFMSA Skopje committee here. All the exchange students prepared food from their home countries to share, and we made Maggi Goreng and some Malaysian snacks. On the table, there was Swedish, Malaysian, Spanish, and French cuisine. Over the weekend, I had a campfire with all the exchange students by a lake. And visited museums such as the Västerbottens Museum and Bildmuseet, a museum owned by the Umeå University. A fun fact, during the Ice Age, the ice sheet in our region was almost 3 kilometers thick. That's equivalent to the height of 4 Merdeka 118 towers stacked together. We also had dinner with the committees and the exchange students in Jobris, a restaurant built from a boat on the Ume River, the main river separating the city of Umeå into two. I had a Västerbottens pizza, only available here in the Västerbottens region. We also utilized our weekend by going to a sports center, Exosport, to have some beach volleyball sessions. We also had a badminton session as the students heard about the popularity of badminton in Malaysia. A trip to a moose safari was followed by that, and I had the opportunity not to just pet moose but also to try a moose too. I also had an enjoyable evening and an ice hockey match with other exchange students at the Vinpost Arena in Umeå. Time flies and it's the last few days of our elective. We had a farewell dinner at Basta and I enjoyed their Italian cuisine. This 4-week elective was the most memorable experience that happened to me so far. Before I ended my elective on 24th of August, I left some souvenirs for my orthopedic supervisors and the host of the apartment I stayed at. Looking back at my days in Umeå, initially I was a little reserved as it was a new environment for me. However, I slowly realized that the people were very nice and friendly to me, and they respect medical students and our will to learn. Eventually, I started to be more courageous and volunteer to participate in performing physical examinations, discussing cases, and interpreting images. Although I was still far away from being competent, they were willing to guide me as long as I was eager to learn. One of the takeaways from the exchange is that I like the culture that has no hierarchy and respects everyone's opinions there. I appreciate their friendliness and willingness to discuss with me and guide me in the process of filling in the gaps in my knowledge. It was like what my supervisor told me, and I quote, "Hierarchy may cause someone to be quiet because they are inferior to their supervisors or seniors, causing some important points to be missed and good ideas could not be contributed. Hierarchy may damage the team and its quality. As a medical student, I'm not afraid to ask questions and share my opinions, and this helped me to maximize my learning speed from the attachment. In addition, by widening my perspectives on differences by countries in terms of medical practices, issues, and healthcare systems, I got to improve my knowledge and vision on them. This exposed me to different health concerns and the basic epidemiology of Sweden and how it differs from Malaysia. A very straightforward illustration is that there are a lot of trauma cases in Sweden which are caused by skiing, especially during the winter, and we would certainly be unable to see the same landscape in tropical Malaysia. In conclusion, as I spent my time in the elective, I got to advance my personal and professional development, self-reliance, and openness to becoming a more global medical professional. Lastly, I would like to express my sincerest appreciation to everyone who made this elective a success. That's it for the video. Goodbye, or in Swedish, hej då!